The idea that we are born to die isn't exactly wrong. By having a child, you are technically sentencing it to death in 80 or 90 odd years. Although I feel that this idea undermines all the possibilities in life, there are some people that dedicate their entire life to this belief. Over the past few years, I've heard multiple mentions online of a children's immortality project. Despite giving it some research in the past, I couldn't exactly grasp the whole situation, and I doubt that anyone, aside from the man who created it, fully comprehends what was going on. This story takes us all the way back to 2009, specifically to a thread on 4chan's board for discussing the paranormal, X. Unfortunately, the original thread was lost to time, and to my knowledge, wasn't archived anywhere. What we do have is a thread from early 2010 discussing the incident, which will serve as our introduction into this topic.
So, I really hate to bring this up, but it happened last year, around this time, right here on our little X. Whether it was the real deal or fake, it scared the shit out of a good few of us. Anyone remember the Children's Immortality Project ordeal? I still get those bizarre-ass, unexplainable emails to my Gmail account, which I don't really use anymore after that incident. And for the love of God, don't Google that name or click those links. You have been warned. To try and sum it up the best way I can, there were links all over X concerning the Children's Immortality Project. Like idiots, we clicked them, followed them, etc. The websites themselves contained pure nonsensical shit with weird-ass space age / techno 80s music and massive walls of text that would have you scrolling for 10 minutes at least. Apparently, there were keywords and links you were supposed to pick up on if you planned on being a member, and if you were on the sites for more than 2 minutes tops, your email would be tracked, and you would get these weird-ass emails to your Gmail account. To clear it up some more, the writing on the sites are very hard to make sense of, but they usually have something to do with the words immortality, children, DNA, etc. It's like reading the diary of a paranoid schizophrenic. The writing style is incomprehensible, yet it gives you the gut feeling that it somehow makes sense.
I was there when it happened. Supposedly the site is some sort of hideout. By following the trail of the links scattered all over the page, you could get to the point where you would see. This is just a rumour though. The pages themselves are very weird, full of nonsensical pictures with writing on them. You won't get harmed if you aren't logged into Google, but if you are, say goodbye to your account. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Unfortunately, searching up Children's Immortality Project only brings up other people speaking on the subject, and not the actual web pages in question, probably because search results have changed over the last 15 years. This means we'll have to rely on the URLs that other people have found to access this mystery. Let's just choose a site and see what happens. Everything you just witnessed came from a single website, and it seems like there are over 1,000 of these. All were being updated on a monthly basis, and linking back to whatever the Children's Immortality Project is. Each site contains hundreds of links to other websites, which link on and on and on, like a giant web of URLs that connect back to each other. Some of them have quite normal names, such as universityoftheinternet.com or takingoverinternetsearch.com, while others are a bit more obscure, like titaniumrings.server or google.com.continues to fuck with children's immortality, delaying it, how to tell children they have been created to be killed.com. Who the fuck would register a domain like this? Makes no sense. Let's take a step back for a moment. If we want to understand what's going on here, then we actually have to extract some information from these websites. I found that a few of these websites are more coherent than others, namely a few I just mentioned, along with Jesus is taking over the internet to create your immortality.com, which looks like this. If you remember what I said at the beginning of the video, some people believe that we are born to die. By having a child, you are creating something that will one day die. That is the purpose of these websites. Every single page was created to spread the idea that having children is cruel because they will eventually age and die. The way this is stated differs from page to page, but the general idea is this. Throughout time, humanity has obeyed laws preventing humans from killing other humans, such as "thou shalt not kill." However, bringing a child into this world is the same as passively killing it via the aging process, violating our own set of laws and beliefs. Before we continue to explore why these websites were created, I'd like to discuss how they came to be. The earliest archive I can find of one of these websites dates back to 2003. Though some of them could be even older. The creator of these websites isn't exactly hiding from us. In fact, he plasters his name and likeness all over each one, calling himself the digital messiah, as he believes his ideas will save humanity from our cycle of murder. This is Robert Ray Hedges, the man who has single-handedly created all of these websites and maintained them for over a decade. And that's about all I know. We do know that he lived in Sedona, a town just south of Flagstaff, Arizona. But other than that, it seems Robert has kept his personal life a bit secret. I mean, he has social media like Facebook and Flickr, but he only uses it to promote his websites and to post. So what exactly is Robert trying to accomplish? Maybe I haven't emphasized this enough, but Robert has an insane amount of websites. Creating and updating each individual one is going to take more than just countless days worth of work. It's also going to take a bit of money. There aren't any advertisements on these websites, so it seems Robert is doing this purely for himself. No financial gain involved. Again, I'll ask myself, why? Why is a stranger online dedicating his entire life to tell us not to have children? I've spent hours trying to understand Robert's ideas, and I think I've got a pretty good grasp on what he was trying to accomplish. As we've already discussed, Robert sees giving birth to children as equal to murdering them. Does this mean that Robert would rather see humanity go extinct than sentence children to death? I guess if you're never born, then you'll never die, meaning you're immortal in some sense, hence the name Children's Immortality Project. In order to spread this concept of immortality, Robert began creating these websites in the hope that people would come across them online and agree with its teachings. You may have noticed that most of Robert's websites contain a large chunk of keywords and discuss Google's SEO, search engine optimization. According to Robert, there was some secret way to manipulate Google's search engine to make your websites appear at the top of search results, and that you could research this method by looking up Gloovglaus, or the word Google and loves mashed together. Presumably the secret method is what Robert was using on all of his websites, which is why they contain so many links and so much gibberish. I believe that Robert's websites were created for a younger audience, people that he can convince to follow his ideology who don't already have children. Here's an excerpt from one of his most popular websites. 9 Steps to Power for All Kids. Children are increasingly taking responsible control of their parents, schools, and real education using the following steps. Please follow the logic carefully. You are now participating in the most important event of the evolution of consciousness. Step 1. Confirm that all DNA life forms have died or can die. Step 2. Confirm that human replication leads to death based on archaeological evidence. Step 4. Confirm that reproduction does kill children in the long run, and that it is a premeditated act, as no one has sex accidentally. Step 5. Confirm that killing people is a felony. Step 6. Confirm that no person, except Robert Ray Hedges, is protecting you from this deadly intent. Step 7. Organize your peer group to rectify this conspiracy against life. For those of you who are 13 or older, set up internet websites for children under that age so that they can have a voice in their own destiny and immortality process. If you are under 13, simply find an older teenager to set up your website for you. Step 9. Remain silent in class to communicate that the conspiracy against children is being challenged and is going to be resolved to the advantage of all persons. Refer any adult that challenges your rights to a Google search for the Children's Immortality Project. Document your activity and let the world know. This is fairly clear, but Robert is pointing out that reproduction always leads to death, so children should protest against adults, both in class and online. I don't know if any websites were actually created by children influenced by Robert, but that was definitely his intention. Robert's final strategy for getting his message across was to find the most sexually attractive female and name her Jesus A. Christ. Robert believed that the most sexually attractive women on Earth have the most power on inspiratory educators, and most likely wanted to use Jesus as an opinion leader for his beliefs. It seems back in 2009, Robert was holding harem auditions in the hopes of finding Jesus to be his Messiah. Of course, I've only scratched the surface of Robert's websites, considering how many there are, but there are a few rumors that need to be debunked. This mystery originally blew up on 4chan not only because of how strange the websites were, but because users reportedly received strange emails after visiting the sites for too long. These emails allegedly included pictures of cut-up dogs and child. However, I don't believe this. You have to take everything you read on X with a grain of salt. I didn't see anyone provide evidence for these claims, nor did I experience it myself, and it just feels totally removed from what Robert is trying to accomplish. Along those lines, users claim that these websites were a front for some sort of child pornography ring, and that if you explored deep enough into the site, you would find what you were looking for. Again, I don't think that this is true, because there's no proof and it's just completely unrelated to the mystery at hand. If you find yourself trying to research this topic, you might come across those who claim to have known Robert, or even be related to him. 4 years ago, the Internet Investigator was making a video on this very topic, and inquired about the Children's Immortality Project on r/Internet Mysteries. 2 years later, a man named Christopher Allshouse, who claims to have known Robert better than anyone else, comments on the post multiple times, but receives no replies. Hi, what do you want to know? I knew Robert better than anyone and have continued his resolve of these ideas. Christopher Allshouse, Chris Allshouse on Facebook. After a bit of time searching and creating a Facebook account, I found a man who I can confirm to be the Christopher Allshouse based on his posting history. Sorry if I've got the wrong person, but did you know Robert Ray Hedges? I believe he could help me understand what the Children's Immortality Project really was. Please let me know if you see this. Still nothing. Not sure if I'm being intentionally or unintentionally ignored, but for now, I'll stop trying to reach out.
He is a leader of a child immortality cult in Sedona, Arizona. I'm not 100% sure, but it was connected to this guy named Robert Ray Hedges or whatever. Yeah, Robert Ray Hedges. Unfortunately, Ray has been dead. Ray died. Very sad, but hopefully we can figure out if...
The last thing I want to mention is an interview available on YouTube with a friend of Robert's. The podcast's host, who was interested in Robert's websites back when they started to gain traction, mentioned that Robert died around 2018, hence why most of his websites are no longer accessible.
The reason why I wanted to get in contact with you was about this Robert Ray Hedges guy.
Yeah, well, I've heard some rumors that people thought that he was some sort of AI robot or something like that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you for certain, Robert was a real man, and all of that content, all of those tens of thousands of web pages he created himself.
And that was just him, just by himself.
Just him.
So he had a lot of time.
He did have a lot of time. He spent like 7 or 8 hours a day for most days for 20 or 25, or no, 15 years, about 15 years. Yeah, so the big thing you got to know about Robert is that he was an immortalist. Right, so he believed that under the proper conditions, that it would be possible for us to solve death. That we could all live forever or a really, really long time. But all of his internet work was designed to put this idea out, to make this idea popular in the culture.
So that's what the whole point was with posting 25,000 bizarro child immortality posts. But we also thought that it might have I hate saying this, but we also thought it might have been like some sort of like trafficking thing because it was so bizarre.
Oh my God.
I know, how horrible. It's just it was so weird, right?
You had to really want to understand what he was talking about. I'll never forget, I used to hang out with him in the cafes. And every single person who would walk by him, he would make a comment.
To be honest with you, this was never much of a mystery. Robert Ray Hedges spent most of his days creating these websites to spread his ideas of immortality, and while they are strange, they aren't sinister. I think 4chan blew this one out of proportion when it came to the email rumor, but I still enjoyed searching through Robert's old websites. I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but I'm sure that Robert was, in some sense, mentally unwell, which is why his websites and ideas come off as crazy, even to me. It's too bad that only fragments of his websites are available through archives, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Nevertheless, I think this case is closed unless we ever get more information from those who knew Robert. As always, thank you for your continued support in these trying times, and good night.